Hello and welcome to our Round Coaching podcast, episode number 50. This one I will be on my own, and I thought I'd do episode 50. Obviously, it's a commemorative moment for me actually getting to 50 episodes of a podcast. I am someone that struggled to speak on camera at one point, but I wanted to touch on this one a little bit more personal life, a little bit more about me, business, obviously the labels that attached to me with depression, anxiety, and just how my brain works, my struggles, and obviously people's expectations around the training, lifestyle, and so on. So if you are a nosy person and are interested in my life, because I think it has been quite interesting over the past nearly 34 years, then you can listen to this podcast. And I think sometimes these resonate with people because it's not things that they think I am or how I act, etc. So I thought I'd get this out there, and then I will be having a little break to focus on other things as well, because I am someone that I still strive towards that perfectionism, and it can get exhausting. And I think for me, letting go of not doing a podcast every week on the same day, not pouring into too many pots at one time and leaving myself empty, I had to step back a little bit. So I wanted to make this a nice, easy episode to listen to, and hopefully one that people can take a message away from. It resonates with them and hopefully triggers them for some change or a little bit of realisation. So yes, I will crack on with it. I think the first one, and I know a lot of people know this about me, or I think I'm always met with, oh, you don't look like someone that's got depression. And for me, like, what does depression look like? And I know people just think it's someone sat in a dark room, not moving. And I know for a lot of people it has, and I know I've been there as well. But I think the best thing I did, and it's probably a tool that everybody avoids, like, it is working on your mindset and it's investing in your health. Now, I absolutely preach this all the time. You can't put a price on your health because life can be fucking very miserable and lonely if you do. Whether it's investing in a coach and a therapist, private healthcare, whichever, you can't put a price on it. And I think people only tend to go into that panic mode and regret when they're at the stage where they do need the health and it's been neglected for X amount of years. And I think for me, obviously it took me a long time to get therapy, and depression isn't just, you don't just wake up and have it. Obviously it's a build up over the years, and it's obviously things get to you, obviously a chemical imbalance in the brain. One thing for me, I never wanted to take antidepressants. I didn't want to numb what was there. I wanted to manage it, overcome it, and work on it. And it's the same what I do with my physique. Like, it wouldn't make sense to try and do what everyone thinks is the quickest way to do it. You have to take time and you learn behaviours and habits, and that's what stems the change in the long run. So I know I do preach the same message all the time, but if I can get it across in a different way and people listen, then I am happy. But I know a lot of people say to me, or like, I make things look easy or it's effortless, and I think it takes a lot more work for me to actually get places. Not just obviously physique wise, but in my personal life, and obviously to the point I'm at now. My main goal and objective was always to be happy and have an amazing connection with someone. And I was so happy, obviously, when I met Mel. I found that amazing connection, and the only thing that probably worried me at the time was it was with a female and not a male, which I'd been with my whole life. And if I look back on my track record, I didn't have that many males that make me want to stick with them, to be honest. Like, they weren't the kindest and the most loving of times. Obviously there was good times and bad times, but I think the bad far outweighed the good. So for me, just focusing on natural connection with a person, and obviously this person was right in front of me, and I met her doing my job and my career that I do now. That was my main focus. And I think a lot of people, they think that happiness is at the end of a scale weight, it's at the end of a massive financial gain. But for me, numbers are infinite. Like, I want to grow a little bit older, and yes, I want to be comfortable, but not at the cost where all my time and energy is built into building fucking 10k months. I think for me, just having time with someone, enjoying life, making memories, that has been the biggest part. And I think a lot of the work that I did previously has led me to this, because I wouldn't have been a good person for Mel if she'd have met me, three or 4 years ago, because I was not in a good place then. And that's what I want to get home to people. Like, you need to work on yourself. And I don't want to say bring your best self and wait till you meet someone, but that work needs developed over time, and it needs continued, like anything. Like, we aren't just objects that are there to be fixed. It is continuous work, and that's one thing I pride myself in. Like, I never expect to keep everything I've worked on if I don't continue to work on it. And it's the same with my mindset. Like, I still have them days where I feel absolutely dog shit. And I think one thing for me at the minute that I'm struggling with, like, I don't want to say my brain, but I'm not saying I've got ADHD. I absolutely do not know. And my brother has got it. And obviously he was quite severe with it. So if it is genetic, then I think I do need it looked at, because I just can't focus on one task. My brain just does not switch off, and it's leading me to the point where I am actually exhausted. But link that with obviously depression and anxiety, and it's a fun little cocktail to have. And it is hard running a business when your brain's operating in that way. But one thing I don't want to do is say, oh, I've got depression, I'm not going to function today, or my anxiety's bad. Like, I like to do things that are going to help me get out of that and work around it, and probably finding ways that work for me as well. So with me, getting up at 5 a.m. would not benefit me in the slightest. So I have to make sure that I work with myself and not against myself, just to follow the societal norms. I have to set myself time structures. I have to time block. I literally have to write everything down, because I'm already thinking about the next task, and then I end up forgetting. So when you're looking at someone that's self-employed and it looks like they do absolutely nothing, they're doing a multitude of jobs, often on their own as well, with absolutely no help. So I think sometimes you just need to appreciate the self-employed people. We are out here trying, obviously, making a living just by ourselves, and we're our own team as well. And I just think I'm lucky in the fact that I am at this point in my life and I have got Mel to support me. Obviously, she's a huge cheerleader, which I wasn't used to. I think previously for me, I was used to more men talking me down and not being that hype person, and then wanting me to hide away. And obviously, confidence-wise was absolutely zero. No matter what my physique looked like, the confidence within myself and my mindset just wasn't there. So when you look at me and you think, oh, she doesn't look like someone with depression or anxiety, whichever, like, it doesn't really have a face, but I'm someone that can help people, especially on the behaviours and the mindset front, and I have been told I'm good at it, because I do listen more than I respond and I talk. So people can send me a message or they can speak to me, and I'll not necessarily give them that response instantly, because I do like to think about things. I like to go away, and it's the same when I do check-ins. I do have to sit down, think about what I'm going to say and how it's going to help that person, and sometimes I might have to come back to it. But I know, like, my frustrations are when people think that depression's just that sitting in a hole and not getting out of it. There is people like that, and obviously it is a lot harder. And I've been at the point where you just want to throw the towel in. And it's a horrible place to be in, so I do get it. But one thing for me was I'd always push myself and force myself to do the things that even brought the tiniest bit of joy. So just going out for a walk, listening to a podcast, and just getting outside my own head was helpful. If you are someone that is suffering, I think obviously lying in bed, neglecting your health, not exercising, not eating right, it has such a big impact, and obviously it links into what I do with a lot of people. I'm not there to be a therapist, but obviously sometimes it does fall under my job anyway. And I think with me, because I am quite passionate and I'm empathetic as well, like, I really feel when people are in a bad space or they are a little bit down. And sometimes my passion and probably the attachment and connection I get with people can be my downfall, because obviously I do resonate with clients that little bit more, and obviously some of them become friends. But my aim's always to help people. So when people just look at me and think it's easy, trust me, it is not. If you could have 10 minutes in my head, I'm pretty sure you'd want to get out of it. But I'm not just one of these that's going to sit and wait by. I think I need to just understand myself a little bit more, and obviously explore. Maybe I would say going to the doctors, but I think they're fucking useless. But definitely exploring if I do need to understand if I've got that ADHD, because I am finding it quite exhausting at the minute, and it is hard to manage a business when you've got a million and one thoughts, and obviously I'm just 100 mile an hour all the time. I normally, I think Mel's like notice this, I'll slip into that hypervigilance mode. So when my creativity sparks and I'm in a really good stead with work, I will not switch off and I will not stop. I'll get as much done, because I know sometimes a week or two after I can go into that phase where I always call it like my little sad brain. And that's when I struggle to get much done, when I think I'm not being, I don't know, as productive, because I struggle to that switch off. So I do make the most of them times. But one thing I would say to people, don't just sit in your own head and not do anything about it. Therapy isn't for everyone, but obviously it was a massive tool for me, and it was a big step forward as well. So if you are struggling with things, I would say help yourself by asking for that help. Like, you can't expect that change if you don't even make the effort to change. I know there is medications out there, but for me, and obviously this was agreed by the therapist, if we just take medications to mask everything, like, we're never getting to the root cause and we're never actually going to solve the problem. So just my own opinion, I would never say to someone, take medication for anxiety, depression, ADHD, like, it just isn't me. I'd rather understand it, manage it, and finding ways to work around it. And I think, obviously, bringing me to this point now, with a lot of self-work that I've done over the past couple of years, like, it has helped me grow. And even obviously working on the business, like, it isn't easy to do. I'm someone that struggles to learn, so I really have to concentrate. Sometimes I'll forget things and I have to write everything down, but I think the one thing that, like, does work in my favour is the fact that I pride myself on what I do. I've not got passion. I'm not sitting there waiting for motivation, where I think a lot of people do, and that's why they don't really get that far in life. I never attach my success or how I feel to a money or an income rate, because I never want to be that time where I've spent all my time working and then I've not even made any memories, but I've got all this money that I can't do anything with because I'm probably fucking halfway dead into the ground by this point. And I think we're stuck in that society where everybody's got a price tag and everyone's got that value that they want, or they think they'll be happy when they reach X amount figure, even though they're not living in the now and they're not actually living life. So yeah, there's some wisdom thoughts from me that I thought I'd put out there as well. But I wanted to relate this to people's expectations, and I think this can relate whether it's you're starting on your journey for mindset, fat loss, muscle gain, you want to make yourself healthier, fitter, stronger, whichever. Everyone's expectations, they expect instant straight away. And I think social media's got a lot to thank for this as well, because everything does look so easy and accessible. They think that they're going to lose fat in a week and they're going to feel absolutely amazing, and the scale's going to tell them that. Like, gratification isn't instant. Like, we need to keep working, and obviously these are daily things that add up. If you focus on the daily, it is going to pay off. It isn't going to pay off at a week or 2 or 3 or maybe 4. It's then continuous days that add up over the weeks and the months and the years that are going to see you succeed. So if you are someone that has started on a journey and you're expecting an instant transformation in 12 weeks, just remember of how long it took you to get to the point where you're not happy. Whether that's, an example would be gaining too much body fat and being a little bit overweight. It isn't going to take you a few weeks to take off what's been built up over 4 to 5 years. Like, you need to give yourself that time. And yes, it is absolutely tempting to go for them quote unquote quick fixes, but they aren't sustainable. And I think the longer that I took on building things, the longer I've been able to sustain them. Like, I've done all the quick fixes in the past, and I've been over this on podcasts. The things that stuck with me were the absolute basics and just being honest with myself, showing up. And I don't just like saying being consistent, but not punishing myself if it wasn't perfect, but still showing up and doing it, rather than thinking, well, I've missed this, I'm just going to fuck it all off now. And I think a lot of, like, things for me, it does all stem from the mindset. So yes, even though people have got them physique goals, it is still good to obviously work on the mindset that's going to help with that, because if your mind convinces you that you can't do something or that you're going to fail, then it's probably right. So just focusing a little bit more on the mindset and getting your headspace healthy. Some tips to do this, and especially for people that struggle with the depression side and obviously getting into the shape and the fat loss side, is making sure that you set a structure for yourself and make them small steps. So if you're someone that gets up at 11 a.m, I don't know how people can do that. I used to do it, to be fair. If you're someone that gets up at 11 a.m, set it 10 minutes earlier each week, and then obviously you'll get yourself into a place where you're getting more out of your days. You're getting up and obviously you're getting outside a little bit, but it's them small steps that are going to lead you to a bigger place. If you can obviously then push yourself and get outside for a walk, it's going to lead you to a bigger place, and it has a bigger impact on your mind and obviously looking after your health than what you might imagine. I know a lot of people just think that the health and fitness is just in the gym, but for me it goes beyond that. It's everything outside of it and around it, and that's why I advocate the online aspects more. Like, that 1 hour session with me isn't where people gain the valuable things. It's everything outside that I teach you. and I will have to repeat myself a lot to get the message over to people, but the more you repeat yourself, obviously you're going to actually listen at some point, and it does get through to people. If I said something once and then I flitted back and forth and didn't say it and said something different, then people probably wouldn't sink in or acknowledge it and remember it. So if you have listened to me before, I will repeat myself, and it is to get that message across. I've always prided myself on getting better at what I do as well, and I think that's where a lot of people fall short. They think that they're going to be a pro in the instant, or they're going to pick things up really easily. Like, get better at your craft, eliminate obstacles and distractions that aren't serving you. I don't like saying good or bad, because obviously our association with that isn't helpful, but there'll be habits that are a distraction that don't serve you anymore. So, i.e. for me, having alcohol or going out on weekends does not serve me and does not help me in any way, shape or form. I always feel worse from it. Especially on the mindset side, because alcohol is a depressant, and I didn't grow up in a good environment with alcohol anyway. So obviously that does affect me. If you are someone that calls someone boring for not drinking, I'd probably say the shoe fits on the other foot. But just getting good at what you do, and I've always prided myself on investing in myself, health, obviously business, education. Even though I find it really difficult, I still push myself out of my comfort zones, and it's probably what's got me to now. And I know a lot of people think like I don't do anything, and I do bite when people say this, but I would love someone to be self-employed for a month and see how they get on, because it is really hard. And it is really hard when you're trying to educate people on the health, and you have obviously Instagram influencers saying absolutely wild messages, and obviously they're getting through to people in the millions when it's misinformation. So yeah, I do get frustrated on that. I'm not going to go into who does it. But I think a takeaway for this, if obviously you are listening and you are someone that struggles with that mindset, the depression, the anxiety, and obviously the struggles, I have been there, and obviously I've had to work really hard to get out of that place. I'm not everyone's cup of tea as well, and not everyone's my cup of tea, to be honest, but I do believe in obviously helping people, and it's why I've probably realigned my coaching a little bit. I am a little bit more passionate on changing the behaviours, making health more accessible for people, and obviously putting things in place that can actually help them. A coach isn't for everyone, but nutrition, health and exercise is, and that's why I want to create things and keep creating things that are going to help people. So if you do find these helpful, you can let me know, or if anyone's got any advice on ADHD, you can let me know that as well. But no, thank you for listening, and I will be back. I'm going to give myself a month off, get some new podcasts together, but I will be back in a month, and hopefully Mel will be with me as well. Because she has gone self-employed, and she was someone, I will put a note on this as well, she was someone that handed a notice in, didn't have any work lined up, and the fear got her, I just said fucking go for it, to be honest. And she's absolutely smashing it now, so I'm very proud of her. So if you are someone that's sat on the fence about taking an action, just do it and figure it out along the way. If you've no choice but to work hard and make it work, then you absolutely will, because that's the only choice that you've got. And I think that's what me and Mel have got in common. I've never had a backup, and she didn't even. Obviously, that's where her success has led her. So thank you for listening. You can obviously drop a like, give this a share and a follow. We will be back in a month, and obviously there is 50 episodes for everyone to catch up on and listen to. And I do enjoy doing these, and I'll be happy to have Mel back soon as well.